Hi there everybody, it's UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator Halsey here from slimandstylish.stampingup.net. I'm doing it again. I'm playing with the Country Flowers bundle, which is this gorgeous photopolymer stamp set and coordinating dies from the new catalogue. And I am going to be starting out by stamping these millions of times. Okay, maybe not millions, but quite a few. And I'm going to be collecting all the coloured and die cut pieces and bringing you different projects over the next couple of weeks. So if you do want to go to today's project, because you've already seen me make all these pieces, go to 4 minutes in and I will start on today's card. But as it is, I'm just stamping on a piece of A4 a whole array of different images from this stamp set, okay? We've got the table, we've got the fern, we've got 2 different floral bouquets, we've also got the teapot, and we've got the vase to put them in. And I'm going to be colouring these in, so this is going to be using Cajun Craze, light and dark. It also uses the 1900 skin tone blends, and it also uses the ivory blend, okay? And I'm just colouring that in to get a nice earthy texture. The teapot, it is grey granite, light and dark. Okay, and I'm just going with really good shading on these, trying to really get them to blend into each other. And I'm going over the top then with light soft seafoam just to add sort of a grungy green to it. The fern pieces I'm doing with Mossy Meadow, light and dark, and Old Olive, light and dark. If you want to see how I do colour and use my colours, you can check out any of my other videos on YouTube, as I do a lot of blending videos because I'm obsessed. I love them. But for this one, I am just very quickly sketching through this so you can see how I do the prep work and then how I bring that into my actual designs at the end. So again, light and dark Old Olive on this one. We've also got light and dark Lost Lagoon. I've also got dark Moody Mauve just on the top of that fern there. Okay, for the rest of it, I'm going to be bringing in light and dark Fresh Freesia with a touch of rich raspberry through the middle. And then for the flowers, I'm going to be using light and dark Pool Party with Daffodil Delight in the middle as the pop of colour. For this little one, again, I'm going to be using light and dark Old Olive. I wanted to try and keep the colours similar so that they would all work together. Light and dark Bubble Bath, a little bit of Daffodil Delight, and I've come in with just a bit of Mossy Meadow to add some definition at the end and finished it with some Lost Lagoon. And then for the table, I'm using Copper Clay, light and dark, and I'm also using Pecan Pie, light and dark. And I'm just going over the right-hand side with dark Crumb Cake. And that is the table all done. So that's all the images. Once I've done that, I'm going to cut them so that I can fit them through my cut and emboss machine. Okay, they don't take full sheets of A4, so I just needed to cut those down. Use the die cut pieces, and I created all of these lovely little pieces. Now I keep them in little pots on my desk. These silicone baking trays are great for them because of course I can fold them up and put them in a drawer afterwards. Finally, there were some little die cuts in there that don't coordinate with the stamp pieces, so I'm just doing some sponged backgrounds onto some basic white. And then I'm going to die cut those out and also add them to trays because you never know when you might use them. So there's some flowers and leaves and things like that. So I'm going to be die cutting a whole host of those out and again putting them in different silicone little baskets like that for the card. So the card we're going to be creating today is this one, which I absolutely love. It's really bright, it's really colourful, and it just looks like a full blended card, and it's definitely a Halsey card, I feel, so I love it completely. I'm using the Something Fancy stamp set. So this is a bit of a problem for me. When I do these cards where I start with one great big sheet of A4 and I create lots of little bits and I can make 6 or 7 cards of it, I start getting bored of the sentiments that's on the original set. So I mix in other sets, which is what I'm doing today. So I've grabbed this sentiment and I quite like it. It's a biggish one that will sit on a panel. And I've cut myself a little square panel out, so a rectangle panel that's just going to sit on my card. So my cardstock here is 10.5 by 14.8. And then this is just a sentiment piece I've put on it. and I'm popping some dimensionals on, but what I'm doing is I'm putting the dimensionals towards the center, okay? The reason for that is I'm going to be layering in lots of different pieces here that are already die cut, ready to go on, but they're going to be going underneath as well as on top. I want lots of dimension to this. And if I had the dimensionals around the outside, I would not be able to put these pieces underneath the sentiment like that. Okay, now I'm going to be using a mix of dimensionals and multi-purpose liquid glue and glue dots here to get as many of these on. And you really need to pay attention to the layers. So for this one, you can see I've put a dimensional on one side, but I'm using the liquid glue on the next side because I'm going to be sitting it on top of the sentiment. So the multi-purpose liquid glue will stick to the sentiment, the dimensional will stick to the backing, and it will sit at the right height. So make sure you remember whether you're level 1, which is where your original base is, or level 2 where your sentiment is, and add the correct glue behind it. Okay, and mix it up here. So I'm using both of the different floral pieces. I'm also using the leaves to give it some texture, to give it a pop of green, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You can put this whichever way you want it, build it up whichever way you like. And when you get to the end of your dimensionals, never forget that you can use the side strips of them. They are just as useful and they cover the smaller parts of the stamp, okay? So do use those as well. Keep going and adding and building all of the dimension and all of the bits and pieces around the side until you've got a full frame. Now you could stop where I am now and just add some ribbon at the bottom if you wanted to and make it sort of a half frame. That would work lovely too, but I wanted to continue and just see how many of these die cut pieces I could put onto the card. Now this is a great project for what I've done. When you are die cutting mass pieces out and you've got them at the back of your desk and you're trying to create a card with them, this is perfect. But if we sat down just to create this card on its own, it would probably take a bit of extra time because of the amount of work that's gone into one card. So when you are prepping for these sorts of cards, do think what else you can make if you just prep a few more while all the products are already out and on your desk. Now this card I quite like. It could be used for a wedding card, and I think all the foliage works for a wedding, but you could always put a happy birthday on here, or you could also put an in sympathy. Or you could create it and keep the panel completely blank and then add a sentiment on when you need it. So a few of my cards don't have sentiments on and I keep them in a box. And then when I am needed with something, if someone lets me know that there's a birthday coming up, or someone tells me that someone's passed away or someone's not feeling very well, I can just add my sentiment on it and send it without having to create a whole new card because there's already blank cards there. Now the key to this is also knowing when to stop. So while we're adding lots and lots of pieces on here and it looks pretty and cute, is knowing when to stop adding the pieces. You know, when is enough, because you could very easily over junk it up as well. So that is the card. I really like it. I'm going to add some glue on the back and stick it onto my card base. And then I'm going to add some embellishments onto it just to really make it sing. But with a card this busy, if you don't have embellishments, you probably won't need them because it just looks so stylish anyway. So I've done quite a few cards in this series now, and I like to think they're all pretty different. Which one is your favourite one? Has this stamp set really sung to you? Will you be adding it to your shopping list? I wasn't sure when I first saw it. Although I do like floral images, I was like, oh, I'm not really sure where I'm going to use that with the kettle and the pot on and everything else. But through doing this project to making about 12 different cards with all of these pieces, I have fell in love with it. I think it's really gorgeous. And this was one of the favourite cards of all of them that I made. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below which one's your favourite. But here is the finished one. Thank you so much for watching. If you have stumbled across my channel, I do have lots of projects that are like this with other stamp sets, so do please subscribe and check out the past videos. As always, everything I've used today is available from my store, slimandstylish.stampingup.net. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!